they're trying to be the best in the world, and they're training ridiculously hard. So to be around guys that are after the same goal as you, it just ups the bar.
He's fighting the best of the best. The dude's huge. I don't think he's ever really made 170. It looks like he walks around 210, and he's dialed in for this fight. He's dialed in. It's his first fight. I tell you one thing, 5 rounds. 25 minutes, changes the game, completely changes the game.
And then with the 2 wins over Strickland, he has now cemented him as a guy that is to be respected. But it took a while for it to really be programmed into the fans' heads.
Aaron Pico just exposed what he believes are Khamzat Chimaev's key weaknesses, and it is raising eyebrows. However, he expressed that training with Arman Tsarukyan and Khamzat Chimaev was a thrilling experience. He noted that being surrounded by fighters who share the same mentality and objectives elevated everyone's performance and his own, plus pushed them to reach new levels.
Around guys that are on the same, have the same mindset as you. They're trying to be the best in the world, and they're training ridiculously hard. So to be around guys that are after the same goal as you, it just ups the bar. That was the first time I ever met Khamzat and Arman. I met him prior, but Khamzat, I've never met him before, and he's a beast. I mean, he works really, really hard, and we were pushing each other. He didn't want to lose, I didn't want to lose. So I mean, we had some really good sessions in the garage with Coach Cal, and yeah, it's just an honor to be around guys that are trying to be the best in the world, and it keeps you.
Additionally, Tim Welch described Khamzat as the most terrifying fighter the UFC has ever witnessed. He explained that Khamzat dominates his opponents with overwhelming power and relentless pressure, and is now fully dialed in for his upcoming title fight with Dricus du Plessis.
Khamzat Chimaev is finally getting a title shot. 14-0. He's taking on Dricus du Plessis, who's absolutely in his prime right now. Khamzat Chimaev, probably one of the scariest dudes the UFC has ever seen. He's 6'2", 31 years old, and he steamrolls people. He's fighting the best of the best. The dude's huge. I don't think he's ever really made 170. It looks like he walks around 210, and he's dialed in for this fight. He's dialed in. It's his first fight. I tell you one thing, 5 rounds. 25 minutes, changes the game, completely changes the game.
However, Dricus du Plessis anticipated that his fight against Khamzat Chimaev would be pure chaos from start to finish. He expects Chimaev to stick to his usual style and plans to stay true to his own approach. His goal is to push the fight to Khamzat, dominate him, and go beyond just defending takedowns.
I don't see him coming in with a different game plan, and me neither. I'm going out there to attack. I'm going there to kill him. I'm not going out there to defend Khamzat's takedowns. I'm not going out there to defend. I'm going there to... Everybody said it's impossible. Not this guy, not this guy. And I'm going to go out there and you're going to see the boogeyman. You're going to see him break. You're going to see him break in there. And then realize there's only one boogeyman, and that's me. In the middleweight division, there can be only one boogeyman, and that will be me.
Fucking hell. What a great...
Moreover, Tim stated that Khamzat will be able to take Dricus down, noting that other strikers have managed to do so before. However, he questioned whether Khamzat can maintain control on the ground, or if Dricus will be able to defend effectively.
If Khamzat gets his hands locked across below Dricus's nose, he's gonna get his face cranked off. Hops onto the back like he always does. He's gonna do it to Dricus too. Can Dricus shut it down? We're gonna find out.
Adding to that, Tim Welch stated that Khamzat often finishes his opponents in the first round and described him as a freak show. He identified the intense determination in Khamzat's eyes and noted that he's unlikely to change his approach this time. He mentioned that Khamzat won't engage in a slow, cautious exchange or match pace, and he almost assured this won't happen. Instead, he expects Khamzat to charge at Dricus as he has with all previous opponents.
Round 1. The guy's a freak show. Freak show. This is back. He fought Kamaru Usman. Look at this guy's eyes. Look at this guy's eyes. This guy's a freak show. And he's not coming out with another game plan. I guarantee he's not going to come out there and go tit for tat and pace himself. I almost guarantee he's not going to do that. He's sprinting at Dricus, and he's trying to take him out in the first round. Shoots from far away, no setup at all. He just has got to grab a hold of you. He's got to touch a leg. Similar to Ben Askren, but a lot more explosive and a lot more strong. If Ben Askren catches you in a scramble, there's a good chance he's winding up on top.
However, former champion Chris Weidman noted the contrast between fan perception and reality for both fighters, highlighting how Dricus du Plessis entered the UFC with many doubting his abilities. Despite earning wins and scoring some finishes, critics dismissed him due to his unorthodox style, and he was far from being seen as a future champion.
You can't think of two guys who are at the highest level that came in with such a different idea from the fans of who they are. Because when DDP came in, people thought he sucked. You know, he was getting wins and he had some finishes, but like, this guy looks awful. The way it just wasn't pleasant to the eye. It wasn't a guy you looked at as who was going to become a champion. But he was able to put one win after the other and then beat one legend after the other, like what he did to Robert Whittaker. And then Adesanya, people talked about, oh my God, Adesanya's wrestling sucks. You should be able to just take him down and submit him, but nobody could do it. Mm-hmm. And he did it. Like, he was doing things, he's done things that everyone said you could do, but nobody could do it.
Moreover, Chris stated that Dricus has firmly established himself as a fighter worthy of respect and someone who should not be overlooked, though it took time for both fans and analysts to recognize it. Now seen as a complete package with striking, wrestling, and cardio, he has checked every box and earned full belief from the MMA community.
And then with the 2 wins over Strickland, he has now cemented him as a guy that is to be respected. But it took a while for it to really be programmed into the fans' heads, into analysts' heads. This guy's a legit striker, wrestler. Cardio was always a question. He answered all those questions. He's hit every box now.
On the other hand, Weidman stated that when Khamzat entered the UFC, he was lifting opponents over his head while talking to Dana White mid-fight.
And then with the 2 wins over Strickland, he has now cemented him as a guy that is to be respected. But it took a while for it to really be programmed into the fans' heads, into analysts' heads. This guy's a legit striker, wrestler. Cardio was always a question. He answered all those questions. He's hit every box now. We all believe in him. Chimaev, on the other side of it, is a guy who came in when he started fighting in 2020 during COVID. He's picking guys up over his head and talking to Dana White during the fight, and he was so comfortable immediately and so strong and explosive and dangerous. It showed he's well-rounded, not just a wrestler. You're like, wow, this guy really is a champion immediately on his first fights, even with guys that weren't great. Usually you're like, these guys suck. That's why what you seen in there was real.
From the start, he showed immense strength and explosiveness and was immediately viewed as championship material.
He is really that good. He's championship level, and immediately everyone got behind him. He became one of the biggest stars in the UFC almost immediately, which was crazy. As a guy who was just fighting these low-level guys, on Fight Island, people were all in, and he just got such a huge fan base. One, with his fight style, but again, it went to him just being himself. When he picked up that mic, his personality. His English is not the best, but I smash you, brother. I smash everybody. And with more intensity than that. But he was just a guy that you really believe could be a champion. But there was so many holdups now. He went from being very active to very inactive.
Meanwhile, George St. Pierre expressed his excitement for the matchup, calling it an intriguing clash of styles. He noted that an early finish would likely favor Khamzat, given his reputation as a fast starter, while Dricus excels at closing fights that can secure a decision if the bout goes the distance.
I am very excited, yeah, indeed. It's a clash of style, and it's very interesting.
He's gonna win.
Look, I think if it's an early stoppage, it has more chance to favor Chimaev because he's a very strong starter. But Dricus du Plessis is a very good finisher. He's very good at the end in the deep waters, and he's very athletic. So if it goes later in a decision, it might go the other way. So it could go both sides.
I'm putting your feet to the fire, and I'll pick one.
And it's hard for me. I can't.
Those are the best fights, when you can't pick who's going to win. When you look at red corner, you're like, that guy's an animal. You look at the blue corner, you're like, that guy's an animal.
Furthermore, GSP stated that Khamzat could win if he manages to keep his emotions in check, as fighting with too much emotion can drain energy quickly. He also pointed out that Dricus is highly underrated and far better than many give him credit for. In his view, the matchup is evenly balanced and could go either way.
Could be because emotion sometimes makes you spend too much energy. But on the other side, it's true, but Dricus du Plessis, I think he's very underrated. He's much better than what people give him credit for. So it could go both sides. You know, Chimaev can go through, especially if you catch him with his very good inverted katagatame early on in the round. If you put him down and in a scramble when Dricus du Plessis tried to stand up, he got caught in an inverted katagatame. I can see that happen, but I can also see Dricus wearing down Chimaev and surviving, and in the later round winning the fight. So both scenarios are possible.
Tell me.
In addition, GSP praised both fighters, noting that Dricus and Khamzat possess serious knockout power. He stated that either man is capable of stopping the other, making this a highly intriguing matchup where the outcome is impossible to predict.
Striking style.
He's very good, very, very good, and he hits very hard. Chimaev too. Chimaev is a very good striker, so they both can knock each other out. So they both have power, and yeah, it's gonna be interesting. That's the most interesting fights is when you don't know what's gonna happen.
A lot of people criticize DDP's striking style, but me, I like it. There's some karate in there, no?
Yeah, it's karate, and I think it's very unusual because most people in UFC, they used to fight and see kickboxers and guys from Muay Thai background, but karate has a... Look, I did karate myself, so I know that it's set off a lot of time my opponent because we use different timings and different moves that they're not used to.
At the same time, Alexander Volkanovski stated that issues could arise for Khamzat in the later rounds. He explained that in a one-round scenario focused on MMA wrestling and grappling, Khamzat would be the best in the game. However, he pointed out that Khamzat's style is built for 5 minutes of dominance, which may not translate as effectively over the course of a longer fight.
People know he's a good grappler and be like, oh, hey, he's cool. But when it comes to MMA, grappling, wrestling, I could say he would probably be, if you had one round to prove yourself, Chimaev, hands down. I've got Chimaev. You know, you got Islams and all that. 5 rounds, you know, I think his style suits better for the longer, you know, a 25 minutes or, you know, a 15 minutes. But one 5-minute round, if you had to show me something, no one could show me better.
Adding to that, Alexander stated that Dricus is fully aware that Khamzat will try to take him to the ground and will most likely succeed in doing so.
Big problems. Dricus knows that. What I loved listening to Dricus talk about, Dricus was talking about, yeah, is he going to take me down? Yeah, 100%. I almost tried to do the South African accent there. I'm not even going to bother. 100%. He knew it. He's like, yeah, of course. But he's like, but then he's like, yeah, that's all right. But is he going to hold me down? Or how long can he hold me down? Is he going to finish me? No. So he knows. And I love that because that's what you need to know. You need to be like, oh, no, I'm going to work so much on my takedown defense and I'm going to tell myself I ain't getting taken down. You're almost setting yourself up for failure because then you know what I mean? What? So are you even doing work on the ground?
But Alexander Volkanovski noted that the way Dricus openly addresses that possibility shows he is prepared extensively to counter it when the moment comes.
The fact that Dricus is talking about, yeah, you'll get me down, but can you hold me down? He's putting himself in the worst positions possible. He's scrambling from bad positions with really good guys on top of him and doing endless rounds of it. So he's not gonna be flustered there. Just because of what I seen in an interview, and I sort of know enough about Dricus to know he's that guy that'll put the work in. He wouldn't be, again, he's not the most, like myself, we're not the most athletically gifted guys. It's all the other things that's made him a champion, and that's going to be crucial in this fight because he has to weather a storm, and this ain't any storm. This is going to be a wow.
However, Demetrius Johnson emphasized that fighting Khamzat Chimaev demands thorough preparation for top-tier competition. He highlighted the need for excellent wrestling, robust defensive grappling, and versatile skills, since once Khamzat gains a hold, he will push the fight into his preferred strengths. From there, Khamzat can dominate the action, anticipate his opponent's moves, and finish the takedown.
When you look at Khamzat, you have to look at him when he jumps on you, you better be ready for the best. You better have the best wrestling, anti-wrestling and fighting skill ready to rock and roll, because once he locks on, he's going to be looking to go to that position, which I call it home. He's going to sit there and wait. And then he's going to, let's see what you're going to do. Once you start the post, you're going to take out that post. He takes out the post. He's going to jump to the other side, take out the other post, get his hooks in, and beat you up until you give him your neck or neck crank, and he's going to take it.
Building on that, Tim Welch explained that Dricus will need to maintain extreme discipline, matching Khamzat's relentless pace while attempting to out-wrestle him. He emphasized the importance of staying defensively sharp and controlling the hand fight with the urgency of a fighter whose career depends on it.
Have to stay so disciplined. He's gonna have to match Khamzat's pace. Match the pace. Try to out-wrestle him. Keep your chin tucked. Fighting hands like it's the last thing you've done on earth. Pounds, maybe 200 pounds. Dricus, they say he can get up to 230. He's gonna be a big...
In addition, Tim Welch highlighted DDP's familiarity with pushing through complete exhaustion and relying on sheer will to keep going. He expressed his excitement for the matchup, saying he is fired up and eager for the fight night to arrive.
Who knows what happened? But again, Dricus is not afraid to empty the tank in the first round and fight with heart. A lot of Dricus, he's familiar with being completely gassed out and just showing his heart. Whew. Boys and girls, I am fired up for this fight. You know what? We're pulling out the flute for this one. I'm pumped up. I cannot wait.
Interestingly, GSP stated that if Dricus charges forward with precise timing and execution, he can take Khamzat down, but without proper setup, he will end up being taken down himself. He emphasized that he does not underestimate Dricus' wrestling, describing it as very strong. And he also gives full respect to Khamzat's striking ability, stating that both have tendencies to win in unexpected ways.
In karate, we're used to fight with small gloves, so it's a very efficient move.
But you know, George, if you blitz against a Chimaev, you're gonna get taken down, no?
It doesn't mean if the timing is good, he could score. Of course, if the timing is not good and he doesn't set it up properly, maybe he's gonna get taken down. But I don't underestimate Dricus du Plessis wrestling. I think he's very strong. I think he did judo before. He's got a strong base. So, and Chimaev, I don't underestimate his striking either, because Chimaev have a very good striking. So they both can win in very unexpected ways.
In addition, George stated that this matchup is not a classic grappler versus striker scenario, but rather a clash between two highly well-rounded athletes. While each has a speciality, both are capable of scoring a knockout. He explained that their strengths are rooted in different areas, with Khamzat excelling in takedowns and relentless pace, while Dricus may hold the advantage in sheer lifting strength if they engage in close body-to-body exchanges.
This guy is a grappler, this guy is a striker. That's not what this fight is. This fight are two athletes very well-rounded that gonna fight each other. Of course, they have specialty, especially in Chimaev's case, he's very good in wrestling and submission as well. But they both can knock. I think strength is very it's very specialized. I think in terms of wrestling, takedown, driving, strength could be Chimaev. But I think if they lock body to body, I think could be the DDP, you know, pushing, pulling, like more lifting strength. I think it could be DDP. I think more applicable.
However, Chris Weidman stated that facing a fighter like Dricus du Plessis is always a difficult task, and he hopes Khamzat's coaches have been able to replicate what Dricus might bring to the cage. He noted that Khamzat holds the advantage of having trained with high-level wrestlers throughout his preparation.
It is going to be hard to find guys like Dricus. I mean, you know, I'm sure his training partners were throwing some similar, you know, combinations that Dricus would throw in a fight, and I'm sure he's got that feel a little bit. I think the most important thing for Chimaev is that he had some big, strong wrestlers in there that it would be hard for him to control, and they were just kept coming up to his feet, and he's mat returning, and he's working on that cardio aspect, because I think that's how he has to win. He has to be able to try to. I could see, listen, he could do good on the feet too. I think Chimaev has got underrated stand up. You know, that could be a way to victory for him too, is standing and moving and using that. But I do think over time that the way Dricus fights, unless Chimaev is able to get a clean knockout, it will eventually start heading DDT.
Meanwhile, Alexander Volkanovski stated that there are many subtle techniques a fighter can use to manipulate positions and mechanics to create small openings and tackle the takedowns and holddowns.
Chimaev is that strong, and that is, you know what I mean, he could squeeze and that's it, game over. But if there's one little space, you know, if Chimaev's that good at not letting him make space at all and gets a finish, whoo, could definitely see it happening. But be sure that Dricus, there's literally no more options at all. You know what I mean? You get a lot of people, it's like, oh, obviously, if you get tapped out, there's no options. No, people, there are options that they don't even know about.
Whereas Volk believes Dricus will look to exploit those opportunities, but whether Khamzat can shut them down remains a question that only the fight itself will answer.
You know what I mean? You get a lot of people, it's like, oh, obviously, if you get tapped out, there's no options. No, people, there are options that they don't even know about. They just, oh shit, this is deep, oh, tap. There's a lot of little things you can do to manipulate position, manipulate their mechanics to give you that little bit of space. Dricus is going to try and find them.
However, Alexander states that the fight will be an incredible brawl, and ultimately, he voiced his prediction in favor of the champ Dricus du Plessis.
Let's see, but I am going with the underdog. In the co-main event, I went with the underdog, and and the main event here with Dricus du Plessis, I'm going with the underdog. $2.65 here on Sportsbet. Incredible fight this one's going to be. I'm interested to see. Like, again, the thing is, just so you guys know, when I'm wrong, say if the fight goes completely different to the way I say, I love that. Remember, I'm going from what I've seen. If they can completely change it and show me something I haven't seen, or be, you know, show me something that I wasn't expecting, oh, I love that.
With Fight Night approaching fast, the anticipation for Khamzat Chimaev versus Dricus du Plessis has reached a fever pitch. The stakes couldn't be higher, with one man looking to cement his aura of invincibility, the other eager to shatter it in front of the world. From wrestling exchanges to knockout threats, every expert agrees this is a battle where one mistake could end it all. If you're hyped for this showdown, drop your predictions in the comments, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to click the bell icon so you never miss a beat, and we shall see you in the next video with more exciting updates.